everybody, today I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison video with 3 different versions of slim LED work lights. These are all rechargeable, and 3 brands I have in front of me are a Bayco one that's sold at Lowe's, an HDX one that's sold at Home Depot, and then the Astro Pneumatic one that's sold online or even in a tool truck. Now remember, if you're looking at any one of these, it's not a complete replacement for a standard flashlight or a floodlight. But in a tight situation where a typical version just won't work, these are going to be an ideal choice. So what I want to do in this video is give you some closer-up looks at these. We're going to go over exactly how they operate, and we're going to see firsthand what the differences actually are. In addition to that, I will be doing performance testing, and you're going to see what type of job that they're going to do for you. Here's a closer look at all 3 lights side by side, and I'll go over the weight and dimensions on them. The Bayco is obviously the shortest. It's coming in at just over 14 1/4 with the optional hook on the top. But if you remove that, it brings it down to 12 1/2 inches tall. It also is the lightest, coming in at just over 5 ounces, followed by the HDX. It's 14 3/4 inches tall and is just over 6 ounces. And the Astro is the heaviest, coming in at just over 7 ounces, and it's just under 15 inches tall. The switches on each unit are going to be completely different. Both the HDX and the Bayco have a rocker switch. The Astro Pneumatic has a dial that you can adjust it from very dim to very bright. Now the Bayco also has a unique feature with its rocker switch because it not only controls the light on the top, there's a separate light on the bottom that you would use as a flashlight. If you take the rocker switch and you move it in one direction, it's going to light the top up. The middle position is off, and then the bottom position will light the flashlight portion up. The HDX has the switch on the rear of the unit, and what we'll have to do is rotate that up. It's going to turn the light on. We rotate it back down, and then that's going to turn the light back off. And the Astro Pneumatic, if you first turn it on, it's going to be extremely dim. And as we rotate it, it will progressively get brighter until we reach the maximum setting. Now what you also want to consider when you're looking at all 3 of these are the charging options. The Astro Pneumatic as well as the HDX are charged with a micro USB cable. The Bayco actually has its own cable that's included, and it's not a standard connection. That means if you lose it, or let's say you don't have it with you, there'd be no way to recharge this. But if you had the HDX or the Astro, they're going to take the same cable that many of your cell phones take to charge back up. Now let's talk about mounting options. Starting out with the Astro Pneumatic, they have a metal loop built in the top that allows you to hang it from a bolt or other object, and it folds down out of the way when it's not in use. Now personally, I think it would have been a lot better if they had used a hook instead of that loop, because you could then hang it from something like a hood latch or even a suspension part, and you wouldn't be limited to finding something sticking out that the loop would slip over top of. But primarily people are going to use the extremely powerful magnet on the base, and it has a unique ball and socket mechanism, allowing you to articulate it around and aim it at something at a weird angle. Now this is extremely important if, let's say, you're using this to inspect vehicles or work on vehicles, because a lot of times clearance is extremely limited, and having the options of moving the light around and keeping it out of the way, and more importantly not having to hold on to it the whole time, would be a big time saver. Next we're going to take a look at the HDX, which also has 2 mounting options. Around the middle of the light is a rotating ring with a magnet attached, and this will let you place the light against a ferrous metal surface, and then you can rotate it to aim it at what you're working on. If you don't have that option, they also have a built-in hanging hook, which you can then unfold out of the base and hang the unit upside down. And finally is the Bayco. It has 2 magnets, one on the top and one on the middle of the unit. You can place either of these against a flat metal surface and they should hold the light in a fixed position. Or you can use the included hook, which is removable. It attaches to those magnets, and then you can hang it as needed. Now keep in mind, with the Bayco you cannot articulate it, and that means if the light isn't shining exactly where you need it to, you must reposition the entire light in order to light up the area you're working on. Another thing to consider is the strength or holding power of the magnets. Now the Astro and HDX have extremely powerful magnets. Here they both are, picking up a very heavy 10-pound weight. And this means that when you attach either one of them to a vehicle, they will not fall off. The weakest of the 3 is the Bayco. It has very small magnets with very little holding power, and as you can see, it cannot even pick up this large socket. In fact, the socket only weighs a little more than a pound, and that means its holding power is less than 10% of the other ones. You definitely would not want any one of these to fall down inside of an engine or accidentally drop onto the ground, so the strength of those magnets is very important. The profiles on each are also different. The Astro and HDX have a similar design with a wide flat head that's extremely thin. The Bayco, however, has a tapered round design. So keep in mind that in an extremely tight spot with minimal clearance, the Astro and HDX would provide additional room for you to work and could theoretically lay against a flat surface. You're not really having any advantage with the Bayco as far as being smaller, because the shape of its head and the shape of the plastic on it is almost as wide as the other two, and it's going to be a lot thicker. Now to test each light in a very dark environment, I'm outside, it's about 11 p.m., and we're going to use each one to light up this engine bay. Now the first thing I want to do is turn off the ambient light, and then using the Bayco that I bought at Lowe's, I'm going to use it to light up the engine bay. As you can see, it does light up portions of the engine bay, but it's kind of a dim light, and if you really wanted to see something, you would have to hold it very close. Next, I'm going to try out the HDX, which I bought at Home Depot. We'll flip that on, and you can see quickly that it's a lot brighter than the Bayco, and also the color quality or the color temperature is going to be different. Now finally, we're going to take a look at the Astro Pneumatic. This is the only one that's dimmable, and the brightness setting on this when we turn it all the way up is significantly brighter than the other two. It has no problem at all lighting up the entire engine bay, and if you don't want to use it on ultra bright because maybe it's shining back in your face, you can dial that down to very, very dim. You can still see what you're working on, but the light's not going to hurt your eyes. Something else to consider are the mounting options. Now all of these do have magnets built in, and this is currently being lit up with the Astro Pneumatic version stuck just above the hood latch. Now what this will allow me to do, because of its base, I can swivel it around, I can move it, and as you can see, it does light up everything. Now let's say I don't want it on the hood and I wanted it closer, I could just move it down here, and it's easy to articulate, it stays out of the way, and because of the ball and joint base on it, I can move that around and it will stay in position and it's not going to fall out on me. Now what you want to remember with the other two, because they have a different mounting option, we'll go ahead and turn on the HDX. Now I'll turn off the Astro, and when it's up high, you can see a fair amount of light coming out of it, but it just does not have the same mounting option. It does have that magnet on the back, so right here it would be effective, and if I moved it around, I guess it would be effective, but it doesn't drop down as far, and I cannot articulate it out over top of something, so I couldn't make the light stick out above the engine like I could with the Astro Pneumatic. And that's going to be the same thing that we're going to run into with the Bayco. I'll turn it on, I'll turn the HDX off, and it has a small magnet on the rear. So I could stick that on the top, light up the engine bay. I could stick it on the base of the hood. It's going to shine back in my eyes. There's no way to rotate this because the magnet is fixed, and it's not on something that I could rotate. So let's say I wanted to work over here or beside the engine, it just wouldn't be effective, and I would have to prop it up or hold it with my other hand as I was working. Lastly, let's talk about price and warranty. The Astro is the most expensive, coming in about 60 bucks, and it has a 1-year warranty. And then both the Bayco and HDX are about $20. Now the Bayco has a 1-year warranty, but the HDX from Home Depot has no warranty at all, and it specifically says that on their website. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below so you can check out all three of these online. But keep in mind, if you do run into a problem with the HDX, they are not going to fix it for you. So now you've seen a side-by-side comparison video with 3 different slim LED work lights that are rechargeable and they have multiple mounting options. Now what I'd like to know is, which one of these do you like the best? And if you had to buy one, which would it be? In addition to that, if you own one of these, maybe you've used one or you own a different brand, which model would you recommend to other people? Leave a comment below this video and let everybody know about it, so as they're researching this type of light, your comment might really help them out. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.